Hi everyone, this is Dan, and this is the Fantastic Four versus the X-Men number 4. We're here. We're at the end right here of this very fun little series I've been going over this series, I should say. And this, I would say, is my favorite cover out of all of the covers in this mini-series. Very iconic with the X-Men stabbed through the chest on these trees, and Franklin Richards basically possessing the Fantastic Four as he faces Doctor Doom, the tormentor of his dreams. Really, really cool cover. Not necessarily what actually happens in the book, but that's okay. It's a dream sequence, right? Anyhow, opening up this guy, we have Kitty Pryde thinking to herself, monologuing. This is classic Claremont again. Explaining who she is, what that she's a mutant, and what her situation is. And really the hook, line, and sinker of the book. By tomorrow I figure I'll be gone. This issue here, of course, written by Chris Claremont, penciled by Jon Bogdanove, inked by Terry Austin, editor Ann Nocenti, editor-in-chief Jim Shooter. So this issue is kind of interesting in that it is, again, sort of the hallmark of Claremont in his late 80s career. Claremont was starting to sort of slow down on the heavy action pieces and mainly do a lot more character development, a lot more set pieces of the characters, right? And this issue here, there's action, but it's very, very short and to the point. You get a fight right here, but it's not really about the fight, even though it's kind of billed as the Fantastic Four versus the X-Men. It's really about the internal drama and the internal struggles of the characters within this issue. A lot of people, I think infamously, Rob Liefeld criticized a lot of Claremont's issues in the late 80s, early 90s as, they're going to the mall, they're going shopping, we should be fighting Magneto or some stuff like that. A lot of like typical Image Comics guys takes. They just want to draw crazy action scenes or big double page spreads and not really spend a lot of time on the characters. But this issue, at least for me personally, it's kind of on the edge of where it just gets just to the point where, like, I think the internal struggles, monologues, and character pieces just reach the tipping point, and I'm getting to the point where I'm getting a little bit oversaturated by it. But it always, Claremont had kind of a way of swinging the story back to where it needed to be so that you didn't get overrun that much. It might also have been Ann Nocenti and Jim Shooter editing at the time, kind of steering him back towards pushing the plot forward, right? So we go here, Kitty Pryde is "Oh, woe is me," and here comes Franklin Richards in his Power Pack suit, showing up to provide her with some emotional support. Now, initially, when I first read this miniseries, I always kind of got a little weirded out by Franklin and Kitty Pryde's sort of relationship here, at least expressed within this book. Now, reading back it a second time, I kind of I'm okay with what Chris did with here. It's not what you think it is. It's more of like, older sister, little brother kind of relationship between Kitty Pryde and Franklin. Later on, this gets explored in other comic books, and I think currently, I don't know what's going on with the shitty X-Men books right now, other than that they're terrible, but anyhow. We jump into it, and they're kind of discussing the situation at hand, the conflict between the X-Men and the Fantastic Four, and sort of recapping what happened with the rest of the miniseries. Very interesting. This book actually, most of the books in this miniseries stand alone. They don't actually need each other, which is really fascinating because of the way Claremont writes these books, right? So here's the Fantastic Four flying across the Atlantic to Latveria to go rescue Kitty Pryde. Get a lot of again, interactions between the crew. This is actually a really good one between the Thing and Sue Storm. Pretty good stuff here. I really like Bogdanove's the way he draws women. I kind of like it. It's very classic and really nice, at least in my opinion. His Thing is also pretty good too, right? You have Jen Walters, She-Hulk here. Conversing with the Human Torch. who's actually even pulling out a Spider-Man quote here. Not bad. And then we get a flashback of Reed Richards and Victor Von Doom in college, as they both competitive in nature, well, more Doom than Reed Richards, right? And then we fly over here as Reed Richards kind of inner monologuing with himself, kind of frustrated with what's going on. Basically, this entire miniseries has kind of been a ordeal, a crucible for Reed Richards. It's really, a crisis of confidence for him and his abilities. With his own struggle of wondering whether he did this to his family, right? So we go over to Latveria. The X-Men are doing X-Men things. Of course, I can't count how many X-Men comic books start with the X-Men in some sort of training montage with each other. The X-Men are just constantly training, like all the time. Which, to be fair, it kind of makes sense if you think about it, because it's like, yeah, everybody in the world wants to kill you guys. You probably better get good. Which makes me wonder, like, I feel like the X-Men could easily be a manga, if you think about it, because there's so much training and action in the X-Men comic books every issue to issue, that you really could stretch it out into a manga if you wanted to. Though, then again, we wouldn't have the classic compressed American style if we did, right? So here you have, Long Shot taking a pot shot at Wolverine, who deflects it, and here there's Havoc and Dazzler shooting some stuff up. It's kind of interesting. I think in this comic book, Claremont kind of hints at Havoc having a crush to a degree on Dazzler, even though he's still trying to find his lady who was brainwashed by the oh my god. Why am I losing my mind? The Marauders, right? This was during the time when what's her name? Oh god, my brain is like how am I forgetting her name? Because she doesn't even end up in the X books all that often during this era. That's why. Anyhow, Rogue kind of gets a little angry during the training exercise. Very interesting choice of clothing, by the way. It's kind of weird. She's got like cowboy boots and then like a skin tight top piece. I will say this: when when Jim Lee gets a hold of Rogue, I will give Jim Lee credit. He made Rogue look really good. A lot of people talk about Jim Lee's Psylocke, and I've always been like whatever about his Psylocke. I actually like this Psylocke the most, but I also thought Jim Lee drew Rogue the best, and his Rogue design kind of gets redone over and over by everybody, at least in my opinion. Anyway, they're kind of angry at Doom because it's like, when is Doom going to do something? And Psylocke kind of creeps up on Shadowcat and Franklin Richards. It kind of helps set up, facilitate the conversation between the two before Doom kind of gives her the Joe Biden and creeps him out right here. We jump over to Magneto and Storm, and this is actually this is where Claremont really liked Magneto a lot, and this dialogue right here with Magneto kind of talking to Storm about his life and his mistakes, and where he's kind of gone wrong. It's a great character arc that Magneto has in the late 80s, ultimately ruined by Jim Lee and a few others when they just decided to randomly turn him into a villain. You can read more of that if you go watch the Claremont movie. One of these days I'll actually do X-Men number 1, 2, and 3, which is Claremont's sort of final farewell to these characters, right? Or at least of that era, of the original Claremont era. So anyway, Dr. Doom kind of gives them an ass chewing because his equipment's really sensitive to magnetic fields. And of course, Magneto is kind of the source of that kind of stuff. So Fantastic Four shows up, and we get into basically a fight. Magneto activates his magnetic fields again, which kind of causes all kinds of problems with Dr. Doom trying to save Kitty Pryde's life. The X-Men get into a big fight with the Fantastic Four. And this is really cool. It's kind of sort of a reverse of the fight back in issue 2, where the X-Men get the jump on the crew. And here, poor Human Torch, man. He just gets his butt kicked in this miniseries, like big time. So he gets knocked out by Rogue. Wolverine goes like head first into the Thing and thinks that he's got him, but it finds out, yeah, the Thing's pretty tough. And, and so this is really great here. This is like a great scene. So I got nothing to worry about. And Wolverine's like, oh yeah. And Ben's like, yeah, and just knocks him out. It's a great sort of counter that only Chris Claremont would know how to write, because he's written Wolverine for so many years now. He basically knows Wolverine's weakness because he's written the character for so many years in this issue. And this is also a really funny fight scene. I thought this was super innovative. So Rogue kisses Human Torch to gain his powers. So now she's Flaming Rogue. She's flying out Sue Storm. And you know what? I know some people have like very mixed opinions about Sue Storm. And I get it, because especially in the early days, Sue, and even in other writers taking her, she's kind of, I don't know, at times she's somewhat unsympathetic, especially with her going back and forth with Namor and Reed Richards and other weird soap opera crap. But I always thought Claremont wrote Sue very well, and she was very interesting when written by Claremont. So here comes Rogue to kind of, fight to She-Hulk and Sue. And Sue basically encapsulates her in an invisible force field, which cuts all the oxygen. So she can't flame on without the oxygen. And of course, she burned all of her clothing, so really great artwork by Bogdanove, kind of showcasing Rogue being naked without actually showing her being naked, because, of course, Comics Code Authority and all that fun stuff. And she tosses Rogue right into the Jeep, scaring the rest of the crew. And the sort of contrast, because, of course, Claremont loves both of these teams right here. You got She-Hulk grabbing Storm and kind of threatening here. I like Storm's got some JoJo Bizarre Adventure clothes on right now. It's kind of cool. This is so 80s. And again, this is around the timeline right before the fall of the mutants, when Storm regains her powers, right? So there's been sort of stories hinting here and there that Storm, especially if you remember the Mutant Massacre, that Storm is like slowly becoming more in tune with her old powers. They haven't really come back, but there's something going on here where it's like she's kind of getting it back, right? And anyhow, this is one thing where I kind of get annoyed, where Claremont kind of uses Franklin here to sort of chastise all of the heroes for like why are you guys fighting? Don't you even care about Kitty Pryde? Of course, obviously the mature thing, we should stop fighting and go help Kitty. But, the comic fan in you is like, but I want to see the X-Men and the Fantastic Four fight each other. So, this is typical Claremont. He kind of was always like this in terms of the way he wrote his stories, right? And here you got Psylocke, good old Betsy Braddock, trying to hold the fort down here. And, here's Dr. Doom noticing Reed Richards' diary, and you get a hint of what's probably been going on this whole time. So they get into the operation, and Reed kind of notices that there's a big problem going on here, and he gets into an argument with Doom, and he eventually realizes what's going on, because he's Reed Richards and he's a genius. So he's about to fix the situation, but he's slowly kind of getting fed his own self-doubt from the previous issues, right? And Doom, of course, is sort of playing devil's advocate here. It's like, well, if you think that you are truly something wrong with you on the inside, then you should ask Betsy to probe your mind and figure out what's going on. Of course, Betsy is using all of her power to save Kitty Pryde here. By the way, great art right here. I really like the art here by Bogdanove. Here you can see Kitty basically becoming a ghoul right here. And, this obviously is a bait. It's a trap, because if Betsy lets go of Kitty Pryde, she dies immediately. And also, if Reed doesn't have enough faith to trust himself, then, as a man, he's kind of collapsed, right? That's kind of what Wolverine says right here. So the one thing I don't like about this issue that I will say is that when Reed finally resolves to trust himself and do what he needs to do, and he saves Kitty's life, it kind of happens off panel. It just, I feel like this issue needed at least 2 more pages, maybe 1, right? of them actually saving Kitty Pryde's life. I think I feel like that's missing, because all of a sudden, like, we're high drama and then everybody's eating and partying. Like, what the heck? And it's a classic Chris Claremont ending. You know, all these bad guys get reformed. So there's Magneto and Reed Richards kind of coming to an understanding. And you got Mama Bear Sue Storm basically ripping into Doom, because she kind of knows right here that, hey, I know what's going on right here. The man who wrote that diary wasn't my husband. It was probably you little bastard. But no matter what, you know, it didn't work, and we're still a family. Which, again, goes back to the original theme of the Fantastic Four. They are a family, for better or worse, you know, warts and all. You know, they will get together. You know, and at the end of the day, you know, she gets together with her family, and, you know, hey, the Fantastic Four are renewed again. And then back at the bottom here, you get a nice little cute scene with Franklin Richards and Kitty Pryde, and sort of beginning of the close relationship of the X-Men and the Fantastic Four, right? Like, I think there's a bunch of other stuff that happens later on, but one of these days I'll go over those stories as well. But this has been a lot of fun to go over. And it's also a very classic Chris Claremont miniseries from the 80s. You guys have seen them on my channel. I've done a whole bunch of them, whether it's Wolverine and Kitty Pryde, or the whatchamacallit. Oh, I actually haven't done the freaking X-Men and Alpha Flight. Damn it, that's another one I gotta do. Shit. But anyway, totally enjoyed it. Not a perfect miniseries, but still very, very enjoyable, and also very, very affordable. These 4 books that I got, I think I picked them up for... Someone had a collection and they were just clearing them out, so they sold all 4 issues to me for like $6, I think. Very affordable, almost the same price as how they came out, so, you know, not bad. So you can still pick up the Fantastic Four versus the X-Men. Very affordable, very enjoyable. Great art by Jon Bogdanove, in my opinion, and great writing by Chris Claremont. Anyway, art. So yeah, this video's kind of gone on long. So I have actually never drawn Psylocke on this channel. I kind of want to, let me see. Let me go to that. Where is it? Yeah, this is kind of the panel I based it off of. So again, I think I wanted her to smile more. I ended up giving her more of a concerned look. I also had a screw up right here. One of my Copic pens actually blew up. You can see it right here. I like barely was able to fix it with my other Copic markers. Also, I think her original costume actually has more of a pink color to it. For some reason, I just ended up just sticking with my purple markers and just continuing on the drawing with that. But not bad. I do, as I've said before, I actually like British Psylocke more than I like Japanese Psylocke. Again, I understand why people like Japanese Psylocke, and I do love those classic Jim Lee drawings and the Capcom sprites from the Capcom fighting games. But for me, the way she was introduced originally by Claremont to the X-Men, I thought was really, really good. And I enjoy this very classy costume that she has. Anyhow, guys, that's the video. Let me know what you think. If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Hit the bell for notifications. If you got any comments on the Fantastic Four versus the X-Men #4 or my art, leave it down below, and I will see you next time.